I have 2 red peppers in there roasting away at 500 degrees. They're going to be in there for a half hour. I am making roasted red pepper pasta tonight. Okay, I've got some olive oil heating up here, and I'm going to add 2 cut up shallots to this, along with probably about 4 cloves of garlic minced. We buy the pre-minced stuff, so that's why I say probably. Then I'm just going to stir this around in the pan over medium heat and cook it for about 3 to 4 minutes. I'm going to season the garlic and shallots with a little bit of dried basil and some salt and pepper. My peppers are out of the oven. I'm just going to cover them with foil and let them steam for about 10 minutes. Okay, they've steamed, so now I'm just going to peel away the skin and get the seeds and stem out. I've got the cooked garlic and shallots mixture inside the blender here. Then to the blender I'm adding the roasted red peppers after they've been skinned and stemmed. Now the recipe I'm using is actually a vegan recipe, so this is where I'm starting to deviate from it. I'm going to add about a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese to the blender, and then 1.5 cups of milk, and 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. And then just season to taste salt and pepper. And then I'm just going to blend this until it's smooth. Alright, now that it's blended smooth, I'm going to put it back into the skillet. And I'm going to heat it up until it gets to about a simmer. And then cook it on low and let it thicken. Also at this point, I'm going to add a little more dried basil and a little more salt and pepper. Alright, I mixed my pasta in. And honestly, it's a little bland, so I'm going to add some chopped up fresh tomatoes and stir those around while it's still warm. And I'm grating in some Parmesan cheese. Alright, here's dinner. The roasted red pepper pasta and some garlic bread I made with our homemade bread. I have to say that I'm not a huge fan of this sauce. It's just really bland, so I'm going to have to do some tweaking next time I make it. Okay, here's dinner tonight. We're having nacho with potatoes. I didn't have a chance to film this because Xander is not feeling well. I baked some potatoes and then I took them out, opened them up, and put in enchilada sauce, corn, black beans, and cheddar cheese, and then baked them again. And I'll show you what they look like when we put them all together. Okay, so it's got sour cream on it and some cut up avocado. I might even have 2 of these because I'm pretty hungry. And that's dinner. Okay, here's dinner tonight. Eric's got a special little portion I made just for him with mushrooms and onions. The rest of it is all pepperoni, homemade pizza. I wanted something easy tonight because Xander's got an ear infection. We spent a while at the doctor. And I don't think we'll be doing much else tonight. And we'll have some frozen vegetables with this too. Alright, here's dinner tonight. I'm sick and Eric and Hannah made dinner. We've got some turkey meat tacos with a little bit of cheese, salsa, and sour cream. Eric says this is how it's really supposed to look. This is Eric's plate.
Okay guys, so we have all been feeling extremely lousy and just kind of been eating whatever we can find in the house. And this is the first day that we're actually going to make some food in a couple days. So I've got a couple really big chicken breasts I'm going to throw into the slow cooker here. I'm going to make some barbecue chicken. 1 medium onion chopped. About 1.5 tablespoons of lime juice. Alright, then I added some barbecue sauce, about half of an 18-ounce jar. Okay, and lastly I've got 12 ounces of cola. The recipe I'm using actually said you could use Sprite. I think Dr. Pepper would be really good in here. So now I'm just going to cover this and cook it on high for about 4 hours. Okay, here it is, all done. The barbecue chicken, some mac and cheese, apple slices, and some green beans. Everyone else is going to have theirs on a bun with some pickles. Okay guys, tonight I am making teriyaki meatball bowls. I will leave the recipe link for this one down below. And to start off here in the bowl, I have 1 pound of ground turkey. And to that I'm going to grate about this much ginger here into the bowl with the turkey. 1 tablespoon of minced garlic. 2 whole green onions sliced. And you guys, these came from our garden. We planted these bulbs in the fall and they survived the winter and came up in the spring. So cool. So I'm adding this to the bowl. 1 egg. 1/2 cup of plain breadcrumbs. 1/2 teaspoon of soy sauce. And some ground black pepper. Now I'm just going to mix this all together, form them into small balls, and put them on a baking sheet. Okay, I've got them formed into balls, and I've preheated my oven to 375, and I'm going to cook them for about 25 minutes. So while the meatballs are in the oven, I've started my rice, and I'm also going to start my glaze. To make the glaze, I'm going to start putting my ingredients in a medium saucepan. I'm starting with 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 cup of soy sauce, 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, 1 tablespoon of rice wine vinegar, and about almost this whole section of grated ginger. Then just heat it over a low flame until the brown sugar melts. Once your brown sugar melts, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch to like a measuring cup or something you can pour out of, and then add just enough cold water so that you can pour it. Then you're going to add this in, turn the heat up to about medium, and stir it around until it thickens. Okay, the meatballs are all done, and now I'm just going to put them into the glaze and just toss them around gently. Okay, we also pulled some frozen green beans from our freezer and mixed it in. So then you just take the rice and the coated meatballs and put it together, and then you drizzle a little extra sauce on top. There it is. Yum.
Hey y'all, it's Mother's Day, and I'm making dinner for Courtney. I'm going to be making a simple bolognese tomato sauce with meat. And I have some mushrooms. These are creminis. Delicious cremini mushrooms, and a medium-sized onion, and some ground turkey that's been defrosted. I've got a little bit of minced garlic, some tomato sauce, and I have some pepperoni and Parmesan cheese that I'm going to throw in for flavor. So I'm just going to slice up all the veggies right now, and then I'm going to start browning everything in the skillet. So you can see I've roughly sliced all of the mushrooms, and it's a pretty good pile of mushrooms. But they cook down a lot. They add a ton of flavor, but you know, this is all going to get cooked down, so you don't have to be super accurate with how you slice them. So now I'm just going to chop the heck out of them into big chunks before I throw them in the pan to start cooking. Okay, I've just added all the mushrooms to a pan, to a skillet with some olive oil. Now I'm going to chop the onion. Okay, so this is hilarious. The mushrooms I just chopped were apparently this week's mushrooms. I'm supposed to use the partial pack of mushrooms from last week, so I had to put all those in there too. So now we have mega mushroom sauce that's going to last us at least 2 meals. And right now I'm just going to put in the turkey meat. Okay, so here's all the browned meat along with the onions and the mushrooms. This is going to make a lot of sauce. Pretty awesome. So I'm just starting the water boiling for my spaghetti, and I'm going to mix up these spices now. Okay, just to make it easy, I'm just going to put all the spices on this plate so you guys can see it. So I've got 2 bay leaves because this is going to be a big batch of sauce, and so I think it's worth 2 bay leaves. And I'm going to put in some salt. We're using a jarred sauce, so there's going to be salt in that already, but you need a little extra salt for the meat and vegetables that were added, so that's probably about a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add some onion powder because onion powder tastes like onions and onions taste good. In addition to that, I have a little bit of garlic powder. Probably, what is that, maybe 1/8 teaspoon of each. I really like celery seed, so I'm just going to put a little bit of celery seed. I also want to put fennel seed, but I can't find it, so no fennel seed today. I'm going to put some pre-mixed Italian seasoning, and I'm not going to hold back with this stuff. I'm going to put at least about a tablespoon of that in there because it tastes good and has all the good stuff in it. And to make it even better, I'm going to put some extra dried sweet basil. So that's my big pile of seasonings. Oh, and I'm also going to put in some black pepper, but I only have one hand and I'm holding a camera in one, and I need to grind it with my grinder. So I'm going to put in some black pepper also. And I'm also going to put in a tablespoon of minced garlic. Okay. Okay, there's everything in the pan. You can see the bay leaves and the minced garlic on there, and all the other, I've also put on all the fresh ground black pepper and all the other spices. Now I'm going to mix it up, and then I'm going to add the jarred tomato sauce. Okay, everything is cooking up really nicely here in the skillet. It's time to add the sauce. So I've got half a jar of some, this is one of our favorite jarred sauces. It's inexpensive and it's very good, the Italian sausage of Classico. So we've got half a jar sort of left over. I'm going to put that in there. And then since we ended up with so much meat and mushrooms in here, I'm going to go ahead and put in another sort of generic jar, Surefine, that we picked up, chunky style. And this is going to be some chunky sauce. And so I'm just going to cook this, and basically you're just warming it up. And two things I like to do. I like to put a little bit of water in the jar, put the lid back on, shake it up, and pour it back in to get all the delicious sauce out of the jar. And lastly, I'm going to save these 2 jars to hold the leftovers so that we can use this sauce again later in the week for an easy meal. Okay, so I put a little bit of water in each of the jars to get the last of that sauce out. Look at that. Don't throw that in the garbage or rinse it down the sink. That's just a complete waste. You paid money for that. Look at that. Just a little tiny bit of water, shake it up, and you get a lot more sauce out of the jar. Okay, so I also decided to dice up a little bit of pepperoni just to add a little bit of zing. Just a little bit of zing to the sauce, just for fun, to see if how that turns out. So I'm going to put that in there too. Okay, slight change of plans. Instead of spaghetti, we're going to go ahead and use this mushroom tortellini that we picked up at Aldi's since it's a special meal. I've never really had anything like this before, and this is, you know, around here we call them belly buttons, and it's stuffed with some sort of mushroom mixture in there, and it's dried. I'm really excited to see how this turns out. So the instructions are you just put them in some salted boiling water and cook them for 6 minutes. So can't get much easier than that. And I'm going to use 2 packs so that I have some leftover for lunch tomorrow. And hopefully Courtney does too. Okay, this is awesome. I just drained the tortellinis. Whoa, steamy. Those things look really good, and this sauce looks fantastic. It's just steaming up or sizzling up a little bit. I just tasted it. It tastes great. Super chunky, and there's a lot of it, so it's going to last us a couple of meals. So very excited. I'm just going to put everything on a plate now and grate some Parmesan cheese over it, and then we'll be ready to eat. Okay, and there it is in a bowl with some fresh shaved Parmesan cheese. And I really hope Courtney likes this. It's for Mother's Day, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks, bye.